Hello, you're watching Greenfield Community Television. My name is Bella Levavi, and today I have a special guest, Rich, who's the new digital navigator of Franklin County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Rich, can you please tell me what your job is?
Yeah, so as a digital navigator, it's essentially a community health worker for technology. So I help people build their digital skills or their technology skills. I help people get access to affordable internet. I get them trained up on their devices. Basically, if it's on a computer, a phone, or a tablet, I can help out with it. There's a lot of folks that need that kind of work, and it can be as simple as turning your phone on and off to applying for Medicare. That was something that I spent a lot of time with someone last week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know there's a growing movement around the state to get more digital navigators. Can you kind of tell me about how this program came to be and what it's like in other places?
Well, first, digital navigation, it's been around for a while, but not a super long time. The need for it really came out during the pandemic. As a lot of stuff started moving online, everything moving online, from connecting with your family to having telehealth appointments, the need, school, everything, the need really became super, super clear that not everyone had the skills to be able to do the things that we were required to do online. So that started this idea of digital equity, where everyone has the skills and the access that they need to be able to fully participate in the economy and democracy. So that's where it kind of really started taking off. So a lot of nonprofits, and there's even the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, they formed, and it started this movement of creating digital navigators. So a lot of nonprofits sort of took the lead to create these positions, and actually, to the credit of public access television, a lot of digital navigators are actually housed out of their local public access TV stations. So in Pittsfield, in Northampton, they have their own dedicated digital navigators, as well as in Holyoke. So that's very much tied up with the community. And my position only started in April. It was a big effort by the United Way, working with the Alliance for Digital Equity in Western Massachusetts. So they got funding from Bay State and the Alliance for Digital Equity, and United Way got together to create this position. There's a few of us in Franklin County, but as I've kind of noticed that Franklin County tends to get a bit of the short end of the stick when it comes to Western Massachusetts resources. So I was really excited to get involved up here. And even in the State House, there's legislation that's currently going through not only for finding different ways of funding for community access television, which is its own separate thing, but I was at the State House the other day, and there was a lot of people from multiple different community access TV stations talking about the desperate need to find new ways of funding. But there's also another bill going through H100, and that is to create a credentialing pathway for digital navigators. So we have the training and the professional recognition and access to funding. So we really create that trust with our communities that I'm not just some person that says that I'm a digital navigator. I can show, much like community health workers, there's a credentialing and training program that shows that we're trusted. So that's currently in progress in the House. We've gotten a lot of co-sponsors for that bill, including my representative in Holyoke, Pat Duffy. She signed onto it. Shirley Arriaga in Chicopee. So it's starting to gain traction. And there's a big long title, but essentially the Committee for Telecommunications and Internet and Cybersecurity, they were very receptive during the hearing. So all of these are different elements of building the movement and making more of us available, because I can tell you with my schedule, I started on April 28th. It is now July. In that short amount of time, I am overwhelmed by the amount of people and organizations that need that help, and there needs to be more of us doing this work.
Great. So can you tell me who you work with?
Yes, so I have regular drop-in hours at the John Zahn Community Center, so the Greenfield Council on Aging. I'm just going to say COA, so Council on Aging.
Okay.
The Bernardston COA, I go there every other week. The Greenfield Public Library, New Leiden Woods, they do a food pantry every week, and I do drop-in hours there. I just started doing drop-in hours at the Franklin County Reentry Center, so that's for people who are coming out of prison. And I am working with Mass Hire. I just had a meeting with them last week. LifePath, I have a meeting with them this Friday. And then through the Mobile Hotspot Pilot Program, that's even more organizations that United Way is providing hotspots to. So mobile hotspot, essentially, if you're able to get a phone connection, you have a little device that creates internet. So we've provided almost 500 devices through a program that started last year to multiple different organizations that then provide them to individuals, or the organizations use them themselves, including the Greenfield Public Library. So that's even more organizations, and that list could go on forever and ever. And then from the drop-in hours that I do with these different organizations, I always am creating follow-up appointments. Usually the 45 minutes to an hour that I have, especially if I'm at the Greenfield Senior Center where I only get 45 minutes, people need more help. So I have people that I'm seeing on a regular basis, usually at the Greenfield Public Library or my office over on Davis Street. And then people just also call me from seeing my stuff on newsletters. So not just organizations, but also individuals that are seeing that they need help and seeing that I'm available.
So Franklin County, as we all know, is the most rural county in the state. I'm curious if you could talk about how the ruralness of our area leads to difficulties or helps with the issue of digital equity.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I've noticed is just how spread out people are. So I made a very conscious effort of being as visible as I possibly can at meeting people where they are. Not only meeting people where they are in terms of their skill set, but physically meeting people where they are. So that's where the idea of food pantries came onto my radar. So for instance, Ashfield, I went to their food pantry and it was crazy. It was so busy. And showing up there as a hub for community was very, very helpful. Same thing with the food pantry at New Leiden Woods. It has been a challenge to let people know on a bigger scale. Franklin County is so big and so spread out. So that is its own challenge. If you are not connected and you're in the middle of nowhere in Franklin County, then you're not going to necessarily know that I exist. So I'm relying also a lot on word of mouth and places like community access television for people to know that I exist and spreading that onto other people. So I haven't had a problem filling up my schedule, but I'm starting to split my time so more people can give that word of mouth. And then just as we know, the connection, like getting, even with a hotspot, if you can't get cell service, people are driving a long way just to go to the Greenfield Public Library or to go to some place that has Wi-Fi access to do the things that they need to do. I actually had someone the week before last, and she came all the way from Vermont because she lives in the middle of nowhere and she's on the mailing list for the Greenfield Public Library. But she drove all the way down here because she heard of me because she doesn't get service where she is. So there's a lot of different challenges with connectivity and letting people know that I exist. But I'm hoping that in the next, it's been a few months, so my job is grant funded for a year. So in the coming months that word of mouth will be the most powerful thing, so I can help as many people as I can in this short amount of time that my job exists. I have hope that my job will continue to exist, and there's good signs on that front, but I'm going to operate as if it's not going to exist and just work as hard as I can to help as many people and as organizations as possible, as broadly as I can.
Definitely. So I assumed when you were a child, you didn't dream of helping people get to their telehealth appointments
No.
in Franklin County. Can you kind of talk about your job experience getting up to this point and how that's changed? Or
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I've always wanted to be an actor. I do act professionally still, but that's what I went to college for. And I think that more than anything, I've just always been a very empathetic person, and I've always really enjoyed helping people, whether that's making them laugh and entertaining them or helping them with stuff like this. So I come from a retail background, and that's probably the biggest influencer of the work that I do. I am not an IT person. I do have the benefit of being very comfortable with technology, and as we all know, it's kind of a given that you have to be comfortable with technology if you have a job. Most jobs. I come from banking and retail and real estate as well. So just by virtue of having to do all of these things within my job, that gives me the comfort, but that doesn't give me the super, like, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to do a lot of like super in-depth IT things, but that's where I rely on the resources that are available to me. I use AI a lot. There's a lot of, I obviously vet the information, but if someone comes to me with a problem that I don't know right off the bat how to solve, then I'll go on Gemini or ChatGPT and say, like, you know, so-and-so is having a problem with this particular issue. Can you give me step-by-step instructions? Or might that, what might be causing this issue? And 9 times out of 10, honestly, more like 10 times out of 10, that will give me the answer that I need. But I will share very personally that with my background of almost 20 years in retail, last November, I had really honestly hated my job for 2 years, 2 of the 7 years that I was in my last position in retail management. I was actively looking for another job, but I was trained growing up, for better or for worse, and mostly for worse, that my value as a person is the amount of money that I make. And also, if you hate your job, but you're also making good money and you're making huge personal sacrifices, then that means you're doing life right. I don't believe that, but I had internalized that very, very, very much. Hating your job for 2 years rips your brain apart. Hating your job for any amount of time starts to rip your brain apart and rips your soul apart. It got to be far too much for me, and my body stopped me, and my mind stopped me. And I had a period where I went on leave from work, and I did an intense amount of personal work, figuring out, why am I here on this earth? And
it was to get people to telehealth.
It was to get people to telehealth. It was to help, to heal, to inspire, and maybe sometimes to lead. I don't have to be a leader, but I like it. So the inspire part is more of the acting stuff. But to help and to heal, those are 2 very big personal things to me. So when this job came up, it fit the help, the heal, inspire, and I'm kind of a leader, but I like to say that I empower other people to be leaders. But it fit exactly why I truly feel, and I have felt for a long time, whether I knew it or not, why I'm here. So even though as a little kid I might not have dreamed that this would be exactly my job, I would like to think that my little child version of myself would be very proud of the work that I'm doing.
Nice. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I hope you like this job for many years.
I love this job. It's very, very, very fulfilling. And money makes the world go round, but it doesn't make you happy.
Awesome. I guess I'm curious, like, what are some of the biggest issues that you see daily? Is it scams? Is it knowing how to use a mouse?
Passwords. 9 times out of 10, I would say that we always start, or it comes up at some point. Password management is a major issue. Multi-factor authentication, I think that can be lumped in with passwords, but it's like passwords extra. Multi-factor authentication can be very confusing for people who are not used to tech. It can be confusing for me. I just was helping someone at the library we were having an issue of multi-factor authentication where it needed to send a code to the email, but the code was being sent to the email, and the email was not getting us the code in enough time to be able to put it in to do the multi-factor authentication. So it can be absolutely maddening. I think that it's a lot of basic tech skills. I tend to blow people's minds. I mean, even just the swipe up on an iPhone, when you swipe up from the bottom of the screen.
Using the home button, yeah, people really have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and then I didn't realize until I was showing someone how to do it, that like when you're trying to get to your settings on your iPhone, that you swipe down from the top, but you have to swipe down from the upper right-hand corner, not directly from the top. So a lot of it is basic skills like that, but passwords. I've even started, like when I confirm an appointment, I'll say, and if you have any password books, make sure you bring them with you, or you know what your passwords are. And I would say there's been a decent amount of benefit management, creating and managing online portals. I spent a significant amount of time a few weeks ago helping someone apply for Medicare, and setting up devices, usually transferring iPads. I've done a few of those, transferring from one iPad to another. And then other than passwords, I'd say one thing that I've spent a lot of time on with people is managing their email and managing their storage. It usually pops up once you've gotten to a certain amount of storage limit that Google or whatever you're using will say now you have to start to pay, and people don't realize what that means, or that they actually have. You don't have to automatically say, oh, I guess I have to pay now. You can go back. I helped this lovely lady. She just turned 95 last week, and she had almost the entirety of her drive full of photos of her grandchild. And I was surprised. She eliminates. It was the word that she kept using. But we went through all of her photos, and we were able to get it from 15 gigabytes all the way down to 5 because she was so, she knew what she wanted and she knew what she didn't. And I think that a lot of it is confidence building, and like we were talking about before, is trust building, the banter and getting to know people. Yeah, I think that covers a lot of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Scams. You didn't ask about scams.
Yeah.
Big deal. Yeah. Briefly on that, I've helped last week. Someone came to the library. She was just looking to connect to Wi-Fi. She didn't, she had just moved and she wasn't exactly sure, what are all these networks? And then she just started asking me about scams. How do you know something is a scam? And through the process of our conversation, I discovered and uncovered that she had an elder romance scam that had cost her $3,000 over the past month. So I helped her put together a report to bring to the police and to report to the FBI. There's not much that can be done, but we put an end to that. And then also antivirus scams. If you're using a modern computer, you don't need to have an antivirus. It's built into your computer. A lot of those come up. So yeah, scams is also a big deal.
Is there any quick tips you want to give in the show? Some common issues everyone has?
Yes. First of all, I'm going to talk about passwords.
Okay.
That's a big thing. First of all, if you want to remember your password, it's a good idea to write it down somewhere secure. And you can it's not the most secure thing in the world, but you also can take a picture of it. Usually most phones have some sort of a passcode. So if you write it down on something, you can take a picture of it and have a record of it that way, or keep a little book. They can be, $1 at the dollar store. There are multiple different password managers. If you use your keychain, it's now called Passwords on an iPhone. It can manage it for you, or Google Passwords. But in terms of creating a really good secure password, the way that I make my passwords is creating a common phrase. So for instance, let's say, I love the color green. So ILTCG. That can be my own phrase, ILTCG, and you can start changing some of the things within that. So I wish that there had been an A in there somewhere. So if you have the letter A in your phrase, you can turn that to the @ sign. Or if you have an S, you can change that into the $sign. So if I use that as ILTCG, then I'll also put a special character at the end of it. And I'll put a number that I can remember. So either an exclamation point or like a 2. And then to make it even more unique, because a big problem is that people use the same password for multiple different things, which is once whatever hacker or someone gets the password, and it's the same across all devices, they have all your information. So I make it unique to the website. So I look at the website and I know how it would start. So you could do like Amazon. I would say ILTCG. If I go to Greenfield Savings Bank, GILTC, whatever it might be. And then if that's a little bit more complex, you can also vary the uppercase and lowercase. That makes it a little bit harder. And then you can also come up with a phrase. So if you use the Amazon password example, you could say your phrase. You don't have to make it into letters. You could say like my dog spot. So you could say Amazon my dog spot. So that's more than 12 characters. Amazon my dog spot. Greenfield, I love my dog spot. Coming up with phrases tends to be really powerful because it's hard for people to guess it, but it's super easy to you. Or if you really like Star Wars, you could do like Death Star 51 or Amazon Death Star 51. And
everyone's going to know your...
Yeah, I know, exactly. None of these are mine.
Okay. Rich hates Star Wars.
I don't. And then I'd say also just a quick tip, because I'm on kind of a one-man mission to make people feel a little more comfortable with AI, because a lot of people are fearful of it, and it can be scary. And there is a dark side, and there are ethical things that are related to AI, and I do teach classes on this as well. I'm teaching one at the Greenfield Public Library and at the Greenfield Senior Center, AI for Seniors in August, and then I'm doing AI for Business at the Greenfield Public Library. More to come. Cool. So I'll be doing more of these classes. But the general tip that I would say is start with Gemini. If you already use Gmail, it's completely free. Start by asking a really simple question, either for your own curiosity or something that you want to know. Because I think that, especially seniors, I work with a lot of seniors, I think that if seniors were to just get over the fear of what it is and what they think, what anyone might think it's going to do, it's actually a really, really powerful tool that enhances a sense of independence. That you can generally, not that you can 100% trust the information, because that's not true, but when you're asking really technical things like, how do I delete multiple emails at once? That's not an ethical thing. That's not something. It's not going to hallucinate. It's not going to give you a wrong answer. It's a very step-by-step process. Or I want a cool recipe for banana bread. You don't have to comb through multiple ads, and you don't have to put your email into whatever cooking.com. It'll just compile a really cool recipe for you. I really think that AI, if we can get over the fear of it, and I did it myself, it can be a really powerful tool to lift people up and give them a greater sense of confidence in themselves and a greater sense of independence.
Great. I'm just curious if you could talk about how this role fits in with the mission of the United Way of Franklin and Hampshire County, where you're based.
Yeah, so the United Way has we work with a lot of different organizations and we do a lot of different things. So where mine fits in, I mean, mine touches on a lot of different areas, but it's a lot of it is community building and empowerment. So what my work is sort of uplifting touches a bunch of our missions, but it's really connecting the dots between multiple different areas of focus that the United Way has. And because it's so new, we haven't even seen all of the different ways that it can connect. So I would say that the United Way has been really awesome in being able to just create this position without, I think that there was definitely a sense of what it could do, but how much it connects to everything else. And I'm discovering myself, because I'm so new to the United Way, all of the different ways that what I do on a day-to-day basis. When we have our staff meetings, I was like, oh, it applies there too, and it applies there. More than anything, one of the biggest things of the United Way and this job as well is like create nothing new. There's already an infrastructure. A lot of my job is supporting other organizations, and that's a really big facet of the United Way, is that we are here to facilitate multiple different missions that multiple different organizations have. So when I reached out to you within the first week, when I reached out to the Greenfield Public Library and the Greenfield Senior Center, I wasn't sitting at my office and saying, I am a one-person show and I need people to come to me and I am going to, it's just going to be me. I knew, and I have been so impressed of how much is going on in Franklin County and how kind and connected all of the organizations are. And you introduced me to, or you said you should reach out to Larry, who's out on the streets. I just gave Larry hotspots because he was at another networking event. So connecting all of these organizations, even to each other and with my work, has been hugely beneficial and really ties into the overall work that the United Way does.
Awesome. Can you tell me about what your goals are for the next, for your first year on the job?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't, from my old job, I'm thinking SMART goals. So smart and measure, sustainable, measurable. I'm not going to do that. But I would say help as many people as possible. And help as many organizations as possible. I don't even want to put a number on it because the sky is the limit and people will tell me what they need. And I think that it's also quality, the amount of work that I'm doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be for like 1,000 different people. My goal is to empower people. I want to see someone who had no technical skills whatsoever be able to feel like I got this. And then also, this is a goal that I'm actually really working toward now, and I have to be very mindful of and intentional about. I've been helping a lot of organizations, but I want to be able to train people within these organizations because more than anything, I don't want people to depend on me. I think that if I have done a good job, people don't need to see me anymore. If I have helped an organization, they don't need to call on me anymore because they have the capacity to further what they're doing, to inspire more people. If they have the capacity to have me train people, and with things the way that they are, they may not have that capacity. But if I'm able to build the confidence and the capacity of different organizations to do the type of work that I do, then I will have felt that I've done a really good job. So it's an answer in multiple different directions, but more than anything, I think, and I've said more than anything quite a few times, but for me personally, more than anything, it really does come back to the help, the heal, inspire. If I can look back, if I don't have this job next year, or this job doesn't exist next year, if I can look back and say, I helped people, I was a part of healing people, and if people felt inspired to live more satisfying and connected lives, then I will have felt that I did the best that my soul can do.
Awesome. So let's say my iPhone is filled up, or I'm running an organization and don't know how to do the computer part. How do I get you?
Yeah, so you can. I feel super embarrassed because I am still trying to remember my phone number. But you can, if you look for the United Way, if you just call the main number for the United Way of Franklin and Hampshire region, my extension is 111, and most people call me. They reach out to me. You can also email me if you're savvy enough to be able to email. It's rich, R-I-C-H, at uw-fh.org. A lot of people email me. You can call the United Way. If I don't answer, leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I also, if you see me out and about, feel free to stop me and say that you need help, and I'll take your information. I like to mention that you'll see me regularly at the Greenfield Public Library. You'll see me at the Greenfield Senior Center. All of the places that I mentioned, you can go to those places to see me. And then I also have an office 5 minutes walk from here over on Davis Street, where people can meet me. I can meet them there, and help them out wherever it feels most comfortable for them.
Great. So next time Grandma successfully gets on the family Zoom call, I can thank you?
If I helped Grandma, yes. Absolutely. Yes, I would be happy to help Grandma have that form of independence. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on GCTV.
Thank you. This was awesome. I really appreciate the work that you do too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching.